Founder of Kick It Out, Lord Herman Ouseley, has died aged 79. He was chairman of Kick It Out for 25 years, which he founded to tackle racism and discrimination in football. Let's speak to the current chair, Sanjay Bandari. Good afternoon. What is a desperately sad day?
Yeah, afternoon, Rob. And yeah, of course, yes, it's an enormously sad day. And first and foremost, I wanted to pass on my personal condolences to the family, friends and loved ones of Lord Ouseley, because above everything else, it's a deeply sad day for them. Of course, it's also a very sad day for everyone associated with Kick It Out and with English football, because we've lost a huge figure, a real giant in the game. And I really mean that word. He's a real giant. I mean, this is a person who dedicated his life to fighting injustice, not just at Kick It Out, but in the rest of his career, whether as chief executive of Lambeth Council or the chief executive and chair of the Commission for Racial Equality for sort of 7 years in the 1990s. And at Kick It Out today, we're very, very lucky and privileged to stand on the shoulders of the giants who've gone before us in tackling racism, tackling discrimination and hatred. And Lord Ouseley is an absolute giant amongst those giants.
When it comes to tackling racism as well, was that task a lot more difficult when Lord Ouseley started trying to do it all those years ago?
Absolutely. Look, he was a visionary pioneer. We have to remember that football and society in 1993, the end of the first season of the Premier League, was very, very different to today. You look at that press conference around the room when this was formed, and you had Gordon Taylor and Paul Elliott, my great friend, and John Fashanu, and I think then Sir Alex Ferguson was involved a few days later, sort of promoting the campaign. This was a very difficult time where football wasn't prepared to accept either that it had a problem or that it had a role in solving a societal problem. This was society's problem and not football's problem. The reality is that it was both, and it had been going on for decades. And someone needed to take a lead, and football needed to take a lead. And the person who stepped up to take a lead was Lord Ouseley. That took incredible courage, but also incredible vision. And I think his vision has been vindicated. We did an impact report on 30 years of activity, and we spoke to fans who had been around the game before Kick It Out and throughout that entire time. And what they reported was that they're now much less tolerant of racism. They're much more able to recognise and identify racism, and they're much more willing to report racism. That is a huge cultural shift. That does not happen without Lord Ouseley's vision.
Was he someone who served as inspirational, but also passed on advice to those that followed him and took on the mantle?
Yeah, absolutely. I had, funnily enough, when I first came into football, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, when I was thinking about it, Lord Ouseley was one of the people I went to go and speak to. Someone recommended that I speak to him, and he invited me in, as many people will have had this experience of going and having a cup of tea with him in the House of Lords. And I found him to be a really warm and generous and inspiring person, really insightful about football and the people in football, and who I should trust and who I should steer clear of, and really giving me some helpful advice. And I think his legacy is felt also in the many individuals I see that he worked with very directly. People like Paul Elliott, people like Troy Townsend in particular, people like Leon Mann. We've got a young guy in our team who works in grassroots football called Tajon Hutton. I see Lord Ouseley's humility and fire and desire for change in all of those people. So his legacy will live on. And whilst we, of course, we mourn his passing, we must celebrate that enormous example and that enduring influence that we have on British football, British communities and British society.
Just briefly then, because time is against us, unfortunately, but what is his legacy?
I think that you have to speak truth to power, that you have to be courageous. Above all else, change is possible.
Sanjay, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us. As I said, it is a very, very difficult day, but appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
So there we go, Sanjay Bandari, the Kick It Out chair, speaking about the very sad passing of the founder of Kick It Out, Lord Herman Ouseley, who has passed away today at the age of 79. He founded Kick It Out to tackle racism and discrimination, and it is something that has done so much fantastic work over the years.